to Tone.
I have to leave, so I just wanted to tell everybody I love and respect you all, and I hope that everybody can have a nice, respectful, or actually a nice, decent conversation, because decency is the bare minimum. And that's all. So just, again, you guys do what works for you. Be respectful to each other, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. And I'm learning a lot from both Tone and Mr. Richard Hart. And that's all. And I'll be live streaming if you all want to hop over to my channel. But anyway, sending everybody love and light, and keep the debate going, but be decent. Goodbye.
Thanks, Wendy.
Wendy.
So Munib, I'll give you the mic. And thanks for being here. I'll let you introduce yourself very briefly as well before discussing the points Richard made.
Sure. I think very quick intro for people who don't know who I am. I've been in the Bitcoin space since around 2013. My background is distributed systems. I did a PhD in computer science at Princeton. And my quick comments, I actually didn't even know what the debate was going to be about, but I would plus one Tone that I think there were so many different types of inconsistencies and weird kind of like, I wouldn't call them lies, but basically just misrepresentation of things that I don't even know where to begin, right? Like I'll just pick like one small thing so you can make it a little bit concrete. Like, for example, there seems to be an argument here that proof of work currencies are somehow worse at the inflation type of bug. There's basically no correlation there, right? Like these types of bugs, all of these different blockchains are basically software, they're code. Any type of code can have bugs. And if anything, if there's open source code that has been out there running in public for more than a decade, then a lot of hackers have actually tried hacking it. A lot of people have actually tried breaking it. So if anything, Bitcoin has a much lower probability of having bugs than anything else. But absolutely, there's no correlation between a proof of work currency and the software used to implement it with bugs. Like that's just not how the software works.
Reality doesn't agree with you. Just Google critical vulnerabilities Bitcoin. It's really that simple. The facts are on my side. They publish CVE lists. The developers, which you love so much, publish critical vulnerability reports.
That's how software development works, right? Like that. This is basically, I think it's a known thing that Ethereum, for example, has a much more complex code base than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is simple by default. It only does one thing, right? You can only do very simple transactions with Bitcoin. Any computer scientist would agree with me that Ethereum is a much more complex code base than Bitcoin, right? You're pointing to a strange thing that happened in 2010 that was very responsibly handled to make a point that is really there to confuse people who don't know computer science that well. And most of
Bro, are you crazy? 2019 is not 2010. 3 years ago is not 2010, is it, buddy? I don't think you know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about the 2010 bug that you keep referring to, right?
And I care less about that one. I care much less about that one than the very recent one that was done by the same guys that are still currently working on the software. Blue Matt, the guy that introduced that bug, is still working on the Bitcoin software. You're just fantasizing. I listed you a bunch of proof of work coins that have had software inflation bugs. Now you list me the proof of stake ones. Go ahead. Yeah, because you don't know anything.
Most of these small projects, nobody even care about it enough to actually go and exploit these bugs, right? Like you're making a claim that at the software level basically makes no sense. No engineer would agree with you.
So you don't have a problem with anyone minting as many free Bitcoin as they want. That's cool with you.
No one is saying that, right? And
okay, so you support the bug bounty program at Bitcoin that ends.
Listen, I'm speaking right now, so maybe you can let other people a chance to speak. What I'm saying right now is the Bitcoin code base is actually very simple because Bitcoin is a simple protocol. It has been there for 10 plus years. It has the most number of eyes on it. The most number of hackers have actually tried breaking it because it is by far the largest asset class out there. So people can make the most amount of money if they can break Bitcoin. If people have
Munib, how many months does it take to onboard a new developer?
I'm not done speaking. When you were talking, people were quiet. Right, so you can do the same to the.
I asked you a question to get you to talk. Quit being so sensitive.
I'm not done speaking. Right, so when I'm done, please you can ask your question after that. So going back to the fact the Bitcoin code base has been there for 10 plus years, people have the most amount of incentive to go and hack Bitcoin because they can steal the most amount of money by doing that. They don't care about the small random project, right? Because there isn't a lot of money there. There isn't a lot of liquidity there. Even if you steal something, it's like low stakes, right? Nobody cares. Bitcoin is the prime target. It's the largest asset class, the most liquid thing out there, and it has been there for more than a decade, right? Hackers have tried, other people have tried, and it is by far the most stable thing out there. So just coming here and making an argument that because it's proof of work, somehow you can create inflation bugs at the code level, as a computer scientist, no engineer would ever agree with you that there's any correlation there.
Buddy, the people that introduced the bug were on the Bitcoin core dev team. They weren't hackers. Second, how many months does it
Can I
take?
mention specifically about that bug? Okay, Richard is blowing down. Okay, look, as Munib said, every piece of code can have a bug. Everything gets a bug. How did that bug get introduced into Bitcoin? A while ago, I think it was Matt Corallo, who, in review of the code, they decided that this certain piece of code was not needed in the Bitcoin protocol. A little later, there was an update to the code. No problem. A little later, there was an update to that update that needed a dependency on what was added prior. No problem. After that, there was another addition to the code that added that now needed those two dependencies. And then later on, something else got added that needed those things, but also needed the thing that happened to be removed. So there's two things there. First of all, this bug was never exploited, and it would have been so theoretical to exploit it. The problem that the Bitcoin network faces, because Bitcoin network doesn't have a single godlike leader, unlike some other chains, including Hex. Because Bitcoin is this decentralized protocol, there is no one to speak for Bitcoin. No one speaks for the internet itself. About 6 years ago, there was a very critical bug in the internet protocol. The whole internet. The entire internet was in jeopardy. Very few internet developers, the TCP/IP layer developers, they all got together in secret. And they knew this bug existed, and they had to fix it before the entire internet could have been exploited. Everything, every single website, every single thing. They fixed it. You can Google this, by the way. I think it was about a decade ago, maybe less, maybe like 7 years ago. They fixed it in secret because very few people knew it was there. And they basically saved the entire internet from being taken down. These things happen. The same thing was happened there in Bitcoin. There was this small theoretical bug that someone could have potentially exploited that the miners would have probably rejected, and nodes would have probably rejected those coins the way it happened in 2010. In 2010, all those coins were minted, and there was a soft fork, and everyone's node said, no, we don't accept all those new coins. The same exact thing would have happened if by some 0.0001% chance, someone could have successfully exploited that bug. The problem that one second, I got a call. Let me just say I'll call back. We'll call back. I can't. Okay, so the problem with Bitcoin is that the Bitcoin developers are super honest. That honesty gets them the wrath of people like Richard Hart, okay? And that's the problem. So in Bitcoin, you have these developers that say, there is a 0.1% chance that this minor thing could potentially be exploited. And that statement gets blown so out of proportion because there is no PR department. On the flip side, you have a project like Ethereum or a project like Hex or any other project where there is like a 30% chance that this ridiculousness is 90% chance probability that it's going to be exploited. And they sit there, go on TV and say, nope, not going to happen. No way in hell. Okay, so they make these bold claims, and that's why there are 5,000 of these shit coins. No one cares about them. And then when they blow up, they just say, oh, it was a science experiment, no big deal. Okay, so Bitcoin suffers from the fact that everyone in Bitcoin is super honest. And everyone that quits Bitcoin, like Gavin Andreessen, like Roger Ver, like everyone else, is because they have this God complex that Bitcoin has to do exactly what they want it to do. And when this protocol, goes in its own direction, they throw up their hands and print their own money. This is continuing to happen all the time. And that's why these people lose all respect from the Bitcoin community.
Well, look, man, I think something like 3% of all Bitcoin holders claimed their free Hex, literally provably on chain. Second, regarding miners rolling back the hack transaction, all you have to do is cut the miners in on the fraud. So if you give the miners 5 or 10%, you get to keep all of it. They're not going to roll it back on you. Third, I think it's funny that guys that have had 2 mint as many as you want bugs and a long list of other critical vulnerabilities, I might add, whereas Ethereum has had none. And like, you have no anonymity in Bitcoin, you have anonymity in Ethereum. You have slow transactions in Bitcoin, you have fast transactions in Ethereum. You have NFTs,
wrong.
and it's like,
these are not true.
no,
They're
tell me,
wrong.
educate me, I'm listening. Tell me you're going to tell me more than it's just wrong. Like, tell me.
It's essential. Ethereum is a centralized security. Like, the vulnerability is the project itself. Like, you're at
Shane, your audio is super low, bro. Can you speak like closer to the mic? Because I don't think the audience can hear you.
I actually hear him okay.
Yeah,
Doug.
We can hear you.
You used to be able to get 2,000 Ethereum for 1 Bitcoin. Now you can get like 500 maybe, or 50 or something.
Okay,
I don't know, dude. Seems like Ethereum did pretty good.
Sir. Like, your strategy of arguing is so interesting. Like, it's so frustratingly false and misleading.
Yeah, but use your words, buddy. Use your words. You got the mic. Tell me. Give me details so I can crush you.
I can give you the details. I think Ethereum has had a lot more chain splits, which are a critical consensus problem, than Bitcoin. But you can go look it up and let's dive into it. So why is Ethereum having more chain splits than Bitcoin?
Usually because they did the stupid thing of multiple clients, which I don't actually like.
Ethereum has proved that if there is a big exploit and you actually steal a bunch of Ethereum, the centralized Ethereum Foundation will just roll it back.
False, because Polkadot proved that's not true. That used to be true years ago, but Polkadot lost 150 million worth and no one bailed him out. And the guy that founded that project wrote Solidity. The guy that founded that project wrote the Ethereum software itself. So if they were going to ever bail anyone out ever again, they would have bailed out
What's
the
market? What's the market cap of Ethereum?
It's usually, I think, like a third of Bitcoin.
Which is what?
Well, I mean, I don't know, 250 billion maybe.
Right. So what's 150 million? It's nothing.
Well, I mean, I don't know, man. The guy founded it, right? He's an insider. It'd be easy to just do the same thing they did last time, but I don't think they're going to do it.
He was an insider, but then he quit to print his own money, like every other insider of Ethereum except Vitalik.
I just don't think they can roll back the chain, bro. I think it's too wide now. I think there's too many people.
But I think rolling back the chain is a separate issue, right? The discussion here was that which code base is more complex and can have more
you're
bugs.
totally wrong about that. It takes 9 months to on-ramp a new Bitcoin Core developer as per the Bitcoin Core guys themselves, which means it's extremely complex code, and you just don't know what you're talking about.
It's because you have to make sure you don't do something stupid. So you want to learn the whole code base. Like in Ethereum, you can just go and start programming right now. No one cares.
No, I think maybe
there's one guy on this call who actually knows about software, and it's me. So I don't know why you trader guys think you know so much. You don't.
So
Go ahead, Munib.
Vitalik himself admits that Ethereum base layer and code base is more complex than Bitcoin, but Richard here knows.
Hey, how much Bitcoin consensus has a $250,000 bug bounty program for Ethereum? How much is the Bitcoin Core bug bounty program?
Well, Bitcoin. Where's the money? Okay, Richard. Where is the money? Where is the money coming from? Right? It's great when you